Hi everyone, how are you? My name's Chris Quinlan. Welcome to MelbourneMusos. I've got a guest on the show tonight, Adam Rudegeair. And what Adam is doing, he's a brilliant pianist. He's got three things which piqued my interest. We met earlier in the year doing a gig for our mutual friend Jennifer McCluskey. Jennifer, I hope you're watching. Hello. And thank you for introducing me to Adam. And what it is Adam's got three things on the go. He's got the David Bowie project, where he does beautiful renditions of David Bowie music. Lake Minnetonka, which is all about Prince. And a third one where he has recently done a gig at the Astor Theatre when they were doing the Blade Runner double bill. And he was doing his own versions of the Blade Runner soundtrack. So without further ado, here's the interview and little snippets I've done with Adam. I hope you get something out of it. I hope you enjoy it. I get a little bit musical, as you know, on this show. It's not just about when's a CD coming out and here's the clip. This is not a clip show. This is, what's that chord? How did you get to that? And that's what I'm sort of asking Adam tonight. So I hope you get something out of it. I hope you enjoy the music.
Okay. Well, Bowie Project's been going for about 5 years now. We've released two albums so far, planning a third. And the idea behind Bowie Project is it's instrumental jazz arrangements of David Bowie tunes. So thinking about David Bowie, it's very hard to separate his music from the man, the myth, the legend, the icon, the costumes, the whole vibe, right? The persona. So my idea was to take Bowie himself out of the equation and take the lyrics out of the equation and see what we're left with when we just look at the compositions and the melodies.
Right, okay.
And then use that as a vehicle for improvisation, which is really interesting because his chord progressions are so unusual. It gets you right away from your standard 2-5-1s and the kind of things that you play when you play a lot of jazz standards and things like that.
Right.
So it's a really interesting challenge to improvise over those changes, but it's also an interesting challenge to see what styles you could make his tunes. You know, I didn't just want to, let's just put a swing rhythm to this. You know, really the composition had to kind of lend itself to a particular style of jazz. So we do black tie, white noise as a kind of Afro-Cuban thing.
Oh wow,
We do Golden Years as a kind of like slow, like 3/4 kind of swing.
Wow, okay.
And you know, you can go down the funkier end of things if you want to. We've got some sort of Herbie Hancock Headhunters.
You mentioned that to me before,
arrangements
yeah?
of fame and fashion. Yeah, so
that's fantastic.
And I like to go across the whole career. You know, in meeting a lot of like diehard Bowie fans as a result of having this project.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I've met some of them who were just like really stuck in like 1972, and they're like, "Oh, I'm David Bowie's biggest fan. Oh, I don't like anything after, you know, after 1979. That's it.
I get the same thing with, like, I'm a Jethro Tull tragic because of growing up in an Irish pub and all that sort of business, right? And I get people saying, oh, Clive Bunker, their first drummer. Oh, everything, I don't know, he was the best one. And that's the same thing, but he left in 1970, 71.
It's like there's been so much music since then, you know?
It's crazy.
Totally.
Now, play us something. Give if you can give us something. Like you said, the white noise.
Black tie, white noise. Okay. Well,
play us a little something there.
So it's got kind of, you can sort of Montuno it up if you want it. So very rhythmic type of stuff that you can.
You'd never think that it was actually Bowie, you know, that kind of thing, if you just sort of walk in.
That's the thing, like if you're not hearing him going, putting on the black tie, putting on the white noise, you know, you take that out and you take out sort of Nile Rodgers. I mean, actually Nile Rodgers did incredible production on that album, I think, but it's very 1990 when you listen to it.
Right.
putting it over to jazz instrumentation really lets you hear, like that's such a great change that.
Tell us about that change.
All right, cool.
It is a Muso show. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, the song's kind of in E flat, and it's just got this sort of E flat dominant kind of thing. But then when it goes to the what we call the little chorus part, you kind of get this G Lydian type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really interesting sort of descending bass line to have.
And then you're off.
And similarly in the bridge, goes to like A flat major. And the vocal harmonies are all very kind of fourthsy as well, so it's a bit amorphous. You kind of can't really peg it down, even though they're totally diatonic chords to A flat. If you listen to the vocal layering, I think he just had a really intuitive approach. I don't think necessarily he was like a jazz harmony junkie, but like many great musicians, it was the people he chose to work with who could add the other flavors as well.
Yeah, he was great at that, wasn't he?
Yeah. So, and Prince is another guy who goes, well, I don't know how to arrange for an orchestra, but I'll get Claire Fisher to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll get Eric Leeds to play all the jazz, like the bebop saxophone language on top of my tune. And then the end result is people listen to his tune, talking about Prince now, and go, oh man, there's so much jazz in there. But it's because he knew who to get.
Yeah.
And so Bowie was the same. He gets Mike Garson if he wants a free jazz solo on Aladdin Sane.
Right.
And, he gets Nile Rodgers to produce.
Yep.
Or, he worked with, Mick Ronson. He worked with so many people who really brought their own sounds. Adrian Belew and all that. All that crazy guitar stuff.
Yeah, you've just named one of my favourite guitarists of all time. Sort of thing. So
yeah,
I got to meet him when he was here in Melbourne in 2017.
Yeah, I was there. I went to that show.
And, there you go, brilliant.
So he got these really experimental great guitarists, Adrian Belew, Robert Fripp. But then he had experimental producers like Brian Eno and Tony Visconti. So he was really great at sort of picking the brains of the people around him.
That's brilliant. You mentioned Prince, so we should, I'll just expand on that.
I hope you've got a lot of memory on your SD card.
I have 64 gig. We can go as long as we get.
I can fill up 64 gig talking about Prince, don't worry about that.